What's good, Joe? What's good, Real Talk Squad? This is Miles, and you are listening to Real Talk with Miles Johnson, where you know we always keep it real. Let's get straight into it, man. Today is not a good day. It's not. And unfortunately, this is the life of a Philadelphia sports fan. Each year, each season, well, all right, the Sixers lost. Let me go ahead and root for the Eagles. Oh, the Phillies lost. Let me go ahead and root for the Eagles, root for the Sixers, root for the Fly. I don't even watch the Fly, root for the Union. But then Gareth Bale goes ahead and gets a winner at the last second, and we lose with the Union. 2022 was our year. 2022 was our year as Philadelphia sports fans. That was our year. Now, I know that we got 2017, and I'm not trying to be greedy, but the fact that in 2022, the Eagles were on the cusp of winning a Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts, the fact that the Phillies were up 2-1 in the World Series against the Houston Astros, the Philadelphia Union had the game locked up, and then Gareth Bale hits a game winner or a game tying goal. It goes to PKs and we lose. That was the freaking year. You're talking about in 3 sports, we get to the championship, have a lead, and fold. In three sports. Not one, John, in 3 sports. So now fast forward to 2024. Fast forward to 2024. What has happened in the past 2 years? What's happened in the past 2 years, it's been the Sixers folding, whether that was in Game 6 and Game 7, James Harden and Joel Embiid being no-shows, whether it was the Phillies beating the Braves, building our hopes up to the top just to lose to the Diamondbacks with home field advantage. What about the Eagles going 10-1, proving at the time there is no Super Bowl slump? Then they go ahead and have a historic meltdown and get blown out by Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers. And then we go to this year. New York fans feel like they have upped the score. And we're going to talk about that. We lose in the first round to the Knicks. We lose to the Mets. NLDS. It's shameful, it's pitiful, and unfortunately, this is the life of a Philadelphia sports fan. I've gone on my rant talking about Philadelphia sports. Let's talk about the Phillies. If your name isn't Zach Wheeler, Ranger Suarez, Bryce Harper, or Nick Castellanos, you're dead to me on the Phillies. You're dead to me. I don't care. And when I mean by you're dead to me, I mean you can be traded to anybody for a bag of chips, and I don't care. Number 1 on my list, Alec Bohm. You were a no-show, dog. You literally batted under 100, dog. Under 100 in the playoffs. One thing I absolutely despise is folding when it matters most. Trey Turner, you're getting paid $300 million and you fold, dog. You fold. What you have done in the regular season is not the same as to what you have done in the postseason. You drop off. You drop off. You're not paid $300 million to fold. To fold. And then he has this smart-ass quote saying, well, it's easy for y'all to say if you're in the dugout or if you're not at the plate. Yeah, that's why you're paid $300 million, because you can do stuff that most people cannot do. And then what pissed me off the most about Trey Turner is that he tried to make the excuse in Game 1, it was the sun. It was the sun. And then when we needed it most, in Game 4, in Game 3, in Game 2, you were a no-show. You were a flat-out no-show. So was it the sun in Game 2? Was it the Sun in game 3? Was it the Sun in game 4 when you sold the crib and Nick Castellanos had a double and you sold the crib, dog? I just get so upset when you have Zach Wheeler go off. You have Ranger Suarez go off, and y'all still don't capitalize. It's disgraceful. It's pitiful. And y'all are showing us that you're not this overachieving team. Well, I'm gonna let me talk about that. Let me talk about that. The Phillies with expectations will always fold. That's why before the season started, I tried to compare them to the Miami Heat because in the past 2 years, they would start off slow. And then around August, around September, around October, red October, they would find their footing. That's what happened in 2022. A number 6 seed getting to the World Series. What about in 2023? They go ahead and beat the Braves that had a historic season. But this time, they won the NL East. There were expectations not just to win a game, win a series, but to go all the way and win the World Series. And what do? Y'all fold like a lawn chair. You fold. You fold. But when I really think about it, Philadelphia sports fold whenever they have expectations. They always fold when it's expectations with them. Whether it's the Phillies this season, whether it's the Sixers and the time that we had the Hawks up 2-1, we fold that John as a number 1 seed and let Trae Young and Kevin Huerter beat us in a game 7, and Ben Simmons refuses to dunk the ball or put up a layup over Trae Young. We were a number 1 seed that lost to the Hawks. That was pitiful. But guess what? That was expectations. That was expectations, right? Or you want to talk about the Eagles and how after 2022, going into 2023, there were expectations of Nick Sirianni, of Jalen Hurts, of this whole overall team. And what happened in 2023 with the Eagles? They went ahead and folded. Philadelphia sports are best when they're underdogs. What happened in 01? Yeah, the Sixers, they didn't win the chip, but nobody expected Allen Iverson to go ahead and take this team to the finals. What about in 2017 when nobody expected the Eagles with a backup quarterback in Nick Foles to not only win a playoff game, not only get to the Super Bowl, but to beat Tom Brady and Bill Belichick? We embrace that underdog role. Or the Phillies in 2022, 2023, when they were underdogs, they played their best. Once it came to them having expectations and them expected to win, we saw a drop off. And that's what it is. So I want to just prepare Philadelphia fans for this. If the Sixers, if the Phillies, if the Eagles, if the Union, if the Flyers, if any of those teams are prohibitive favorites to win the championship, just know you're in for disappointment because that's what they have always shown us. But if there's situations where they're an underdog and they're playing well, that's when I'll go ahead. I'll say, all right, I like our chances, because when we're doubted, we show up. When we're not doubted and we're expected to do something, we go ahead and fold, dog. So that is essentially what Philadelphia sports are. Now, moving forward, Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, Nick Castellanos, I believe all of them will stay on the team. I know Kyle Schwarber did not play well. He had that one leadoff homer. I mean, still though, like he ain't played well. Trey Turner, y'all know how I feel about him. What else? Yeah, Alabama got to go. JT Real Muto, I mean, he was a no-show. How do you hit the ball 0 times? 0 times. Look at me. 0 times. Cool. 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 So again, the Phillies are a team that aren't built to meet expectations. They're built to be underdogs that reach their potential. So yeah. And for all y'all New York fans that are hype over the Knicks and Mets being Philly, at the end of the day, we got Saquon Barkley. So that trumps everything that y'all think y'all got over us. Y'all done gave us Saquon Barkley. That would be like the Knicks giving the Sixers Jalen Brunson. That would be like the Mets giving the Phillies Francisco Lindor. Like that was an all-time bad move. I don't care. We're still up. We're still up on the score. I don't care about any of that. And the Giants and the Jets are terrible. So it's cool. It's cool. Look, baseball's about to be over. Y'all not gonna do anything. Y'all not gonna do anything in basketball. And then football, y'all gonna be in misery. Misery. So speaking of football, let's talk about football real quick. Cooper DeJean. Cooper DeJean is going to be starting, I believe, against the Cleveland Browns, as he should. As he should. Now, I believe the reason why Cooper DeJean, a second-round pick who we traded up for, a second-round pick, we actually traded our second-round pick and another second-round pick in the future to go ahead and trade up and get Cooper DeJean, right? So, this is a perfect get-right game for Cooper DeJean. You're facing Deshaun Watson, gang. You're facing Deshaun Watson. I mean, you're facing a Browns defense who is probably the worst offense in the NFL. Deshaun Watson is the NFL's Ben Simmons. This is a perfect get-right game for you. And if the Eagles do not start you in the slot against the Browns, that is a very alarming sign because the Browns are the perfect team in the NFL for you to get right and for you to go ahead and show us what you're made of at the NFL level. I believe Cooper DeJean is going ahead and ball out. He'll ball out. He'll ball out. I'm looking for Avonte Maddox and Darius Slay, which I expect they already have done, but I'm looking for them to go ahead and teach Coop. Teach Coop. I feel like because Avonte Maddox, when he was, I believe, where was Avonte Maddox at, man? Avonte Maddox College. I believe he was at I'm gonna look this up real quick. Well, he was at Pitt. When he was at Pitt, he was on the outside. And then when he got to the NFL, he transitioned to be a slot corner, right? Darius Slay. He knows a lot about playing elite man-to-man coverage. And I expect that he has already given Cooper DeJean some tips on how to play elite man-to-man coverage. Because at Iowa, Coop was really flourishing in zone coverage, not man coverage. So I expect Darius Slay to give the man some tips and tricks, get him right, get the young fellow right. I mean, he's a captain at the end of the day. I know that he'll be able to show some leadership and get the young guy right. So I believe in Cooper DeJean. I think the only reason that he is going to start this game, in week 6, is because he got injured in training camp. So that kind of like stopped his development a little bit. And we do have to, knock on wood, just watch out for these injuries. He broke his leg, had a hamstring injury. So yeah, that's something we got to pay attention to. But overall, I'm very high on Coop, and I think that he will go ahead and show up. Let's talk about Sidney Brown. Sidney Brown should start too. Just like Cooper DeJean should start against the Cleveland Browns, I believe Sidney Brown should start against the Cleveland Browns. Maybe not start. Maybe I am just being a little bit too hype with saying he should start, but he should get several snaps against the Browns. That's a get right game, bro. That's a get right game. And let's be honest, if CJ Garden-Johnson ain't looking too good, I'm putting Sidney Brown over him. I would play Sidney Brown over to Garner Johnson. I'm tired of getting cooked by he gets cooked every time. He's not good in the run. His best play of this season was that stop against Bijan Robinson. But outside of that, what has CJ Garner Johnson done? Outside of just saying he's putting belt to ass when really it's been belt to ass on him. On him. So I'm looking for Sidney Brown to go ahead and, play a lot of snaps against the Browns. Devin White, let's talk about that again. I talked about that a little bit when I went live yesterday, but let's just talk about Devin White's situation real quick. With the Devin White situation, in the most respectful way possible with Devin White, he's not the same player he once was. That's it. It's surprising for sure because he's only 26 years old. I had to look at that again. I was like, Devin White's only 26 years old? But ultimately, he lost his starting spot to KJ White with the Buccaneers. It's a reason why he was available for 1 year, like $4 million to go to Philly. Now, I think the Eagles, they saw Devin White in training camp. At first, they were like, all right, cool, let's run with him. He's the starter. And then they saw Nakobe Dean show flashes, and they're like, well, why would we have Devin White play over the guy who we picked in the third round? And I do believe that at this point, Nakobe Dean is better than Devin White, for sure. But with Devin White, he's not that no more. I would rather go ahead and have Jeremiah Trott Jr. as a backup. Honestly, I mean, it's a reason. If coaches that watch this guy day in, day out are saying we're better without you than with you, and we signed you, that's saying something. Because let's not act like this linebacker unit is like the best in football. Like, they could use Devin White theoretically, but if they're not using him, that's because they believe he is cooked. Now, this is not saying that Devin White can't be productive somewhere else in the NFL because the guy is only 26 years old. But I believe the Eagles coaches saw what he did in practice and was like, yeah, I'd rather have Nakobe. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And so that's what it is. And it's going to be a real test because this Eagles defense allows the fourth most yards per rush at 5. And they're fourth lowest in pressure rate against quarterbacks at 15.9%. Also, the Eagles rank second to last in linebacker spending, $7.6 million. So when I look at that, right, I see High Roseman, who's trying to get over. He's trying to get over. And I've had my problems with High Roseman because I believe like he tries to get over on defense. You can't do that. You can't do that. But when you sign a guy like Bryce Huff for $51 million off a whim because you think he can be what Hassan Reddick was when he was never that in New York, that's a bad job because now that was money that you could have used to get a guy like Patrick Queen, Andrew Van Ginkel, for real, Jonathan Greenard. Like these are guys who are hooping right now. Like, they're balling right now. But because you put so much money into Bryce Huff, that is a catastrophic bad move. Let's talk about Howie Roseman real quick. Let's talk about Howie Roseman. Then I'm going to get into my NFL Week 5 picks. Howie Roseman did not have a great offseason. Yes, he hit on Quinyon Mitchell. Yes, he hit on Saquon Barkley. Yes, he hit on Mekhi Becton. But defensively, it was a massive, massive failure. And I can't understate how bad it was. You trade away Hassan Reddick, bring in Bryce Huff. Bryce Huff has got as many sacks as I have on my couch or in my chair. Zero. I mean, yes, you brought back Brandon Graham, but like that, anybody could have told you that. And Brandon Graham has actually been our best defensive lineman. or maybe not. He hasn't been over Jalen Carter, but our best edge rusher. You go ahead and get Oren Burks. Has he touched the field? Nah. I'll give you Zach Bond has been nice. But I'm sorry. That was luck. That was luck. I don't believe that Harry Roseman was like, oh yeah, Zach Bond's gonna do this. That was luck. That was luck. And Zach Bond, he been very good. He's had a career year. So I'll give him that. But CJ Garner Johnson, you bring him back. He's been terrible. Nolan Smith, the jury's still out. He's young, but he hasn't produced at that high of a level. Jalen Carter, I mean, these are like picks before this season, but like Jalen Carter, that's a hit for sure. He was only he only got down to the 9th pick because of the off-field stuff. And then Jordan Davis. I'm looking for something from Jordan Davis, bro. Jordan Davis got to show me something, dog. He got to. You got to string together multiple great games. You had a great game against the Saints. You followed that up with a pitiful performance against the Buccaneers. I believe in you. You got talent. It's a reason why you were a first-round pick. But my God, can you string together some great performances back to back to back? You can't have your man Jalen Carter out here getting doubled and you're out here not doing nothing. Not doing anything. Come on, dog. Come on, dog. Come on, dog. Show me something. So, yes, Harry Roseman has been terrible on defense. He is good at the offense side, even though Jahan Dotson has been a no-show. But I'll say that that's more on coaching and quarterback play than, Harry Roseman trading for. Because Jahan, he's still a first-round pick at the end of the day. He's still a first-round pick. So it's like, you mean. Last thing before I get to the NFL Week 5 picks, I want to touch on this whole Robert Saleh and Jet situation. I talked about it yesterday. I'm going to say it again. There's been a lot of Eagles fans that have looked at the Robert Saleh and Jet situation and said to themselves, well, look, Nick Sirianni, you're next. Although I believe that Nick Sirianni is a terrible coach, he is holding this team back, and the Eagles will not get to their full potential if they have Nick Sirianni as the head man. I don't agree that firing Nick Sirianni is the best move for this football team during the season. That's exactly why in the offseason, before this season started, I was one of the biggest people saying, fire Nick Sirianni. Fire him a little bit early. Now, I believe Jeffrey Lurie and Harry Roseman looked at this and they were like, well, we got off Doug Peterson, who won a Super Bowl. Is it the best look to go ahead and fire Nick after he got to the playoffs in 3 straight years? And they're probably looking at it too like, hell, like it was a historic collapse, but it wasn't. It was only a historic collapse because the Eagles got to such a great start. So that's what they were thinking. But if you saw the writing on the wall, you could see like, dog, he's not that guy. Without Shane Steichen, Nick Sirianni is not that guy. So if y'all were going to go ahead and fire Nick Sirianni, you should have did that in this offseason. Just like how the Jets should have fired Robert Saleh before this season started. Do you expect the Jets to really do something this season? Like, is firing Robert Saleh going to fix their issues? No. The same thing with the Eagles. Do I think that firing Nick Sirianni is going to really put the Eagles in a position where they're going to now reach the Super Bowl with Kellen Moore as the head coach or Vic Fangio as the head coach? No, they might off just morale win a couple more games, but like it's not like they're about to be this Super Bowl contender if they go ahead and fire Nick Sirianni. Like it's gonna be around the same. Another reason why I'm against firing Nick Sirianni mid-season is because we saw with the Raiders After they fired Josh McDaniels and brought Antonio Pierce in, yes, the Raiders last season did well under Antonio Pierce. But I believe that was off adrenaline. That was off just team morale. But we see now Antonio Pierce ain't that good of a head coach. He's not. He flat out botched the situation with Devontae Adams. You go ahead, you like a picture on Instagram talking about the wide receiver, and then you don't even take the time to even talk to the guy and explain it. And then now he wants out. So what I'm saying is a lot of times when you make a mid-season head coaching firing, like if you like change your head coach mid-season and you bring in an interim guy, it's a lot of like false hope, false reality where like y'all might win a couple games. The team is, reports are like, hey, y'all should keep whoever. But that kind of blocks your blessings from getting better head coaching candidates if you just chilled out and waited until the off season. You feel what I'm saying? So like if the Eagles go ahead and get Kellen Moore as their head coach and fire Nick Sirianni, like they promote Kellen Moore, I don't believe Kellen Moore is a real head coach for real. Let's say you make Kellen Moore the interim head coach, the Eagles make it to the playoffs, maybe win a game. That's still not enough. But let's just say they do that and people are like, oh, keep Kellen Moore. The team did well under him. You could be blocking your blessings from getting Bill Belichick, Mike Vrabel, Brian Flores, Brian Daboll, Bobby Slowick, because you went ahead, jumped the gun early, fired Nick Sirianni mid-season, hired Kellen Moore as an interim head coach, then hire him later on. It's just too much. Just go ahead. Look, that's what I'm trying to say. It's not going to be no game changer. Just wait for the great head coaching candidates to come up across in the offseason, if that's what you want to do. I'll say this. While I'm against firing Nick Sirianni mid-season, I'm scared for what's going to happen if the Eagles lose to the Browns. And I'll even say if it's a close game, because if it's a close game, that is equal to a loss. Because the Eagles haven't beat a team by more than one score since the Dolphins game over a year ago. I believe that was like week 7. That's terrible. That's flat out terrible. I mean, the Cardinals beat the freaking Rams like by double digits, and the Cardinals not nothing. So in the event that the Browns go ahead and win, or they make it a close game and Deshaun Watson out here looking like Tom Brady, although I'm against Nick Sirianni being fired mid-season, at the end of the day, you're going to have to fire the guy because it's like it's going to be so bad. It's going to be so bad in Philly. For my mental health, I hope that the Eagles just go ahead and blow out the Browns because I cannot take a close game against Deshaun freaking Watson. I will lose it. I will lose it. I will lose it. And if we lose, I will lose my mind. The city of Philadelphia, who just came off a terrible loss with the Phillies versus the Mets, if we go ahead and lose to the Browns, I am scared for what Broad Street might look like. They was talking about looting. I don't know what's finna happen. I'm glad I live in New York because I don't even want to think about what Philadelphia is going to look like if the Eagles lose to the Browns. I believe they'll beat the Browns, but best believe if it's shaky or if the Browns win, oh my gosh, Philly is going to be Gotham City. It's going to be Gotham City. And I'm going to get more into like the Eagles-Browns preview. But that's kind of like my whole thoughts on it. And we're going to talk about that more tomorrow after I get my preview. All right, cool. Let's talk about NFL Week 5 picks. Week 5 picks. Let's get it, man. It's Thursday Night Football. 49ers versus the Seahawks. I got the 49ers, although I'm cautious about it. I'm very cautious about it. And I don't like to hedge, but like the problem with the 49ers is that Brock Purdy is a front runner. And it's funny that like Brock Purdy gets all this praise when he's 2-3, but then Jalen Hurts is seen as the worst quarterback in the universe and his team is 500. You feel me? Talk about how Brock Purdy in the first half versus the second half is a completely different quarterback. He folds in the second halves. He folds in the fourth quarters. He's not the same quarterback in crunch time that he is in the first half, dog. But he gets passes. And he has better coaching. I had to get it off my chest because like y'all really be glazing Brock Purdy, glazing Jordan Love when both of these guys have committed turnovers and they have not looked that amazing. But then Jalen Hurts can't have one bad game, two bad games without his number one wide receiver, dog. It's crazy to me. It's flat out crazy to me. But that's what it is. I be going off sometimes because y'all really be getting me mad with this Jalen Hurts slander. All right. Nonetheless, I got the 49ers only because the Seahawks, I don't believe the Seahawks are that good. I think that they'll make it competitive. I do believe that it'll be a close game, but I just believe that the 49ers will be able to go up and down the field. The game is going to be whether or not the 49ers can convert in the red zone, which they have been terrible at. But I'll say that this is a get-right game for them to get touchdowns in the red zone. Give me the 49ers to beat the Seahawks. I went long with that, but just bear with me, y'all. Jaguars versus Bears. I like the Jaguars in this, bro. I'm sorry. I don't like the Jaguars. I'm so sorry. I like the Bears. Caleb Williams just keeps getting better. And the Jags defense is terrible. The Jags defense almost choked up a lead against Joe Flacco. They did. They're not a good team. They're a terrible team. Terrible defense. And the Bears have a phenomenal defense. So I like Caleb Williams and company to go ahead and beat the Jaguars in London. I know the Jaguars have that like home field advantage because they played in London so many times. But historically, the favorite, which I should have learned with the whole Vikings and Jets game last week, historically, the favorite wins overseas. So give me the Bears to beat the Jaguars. Let's do the Colts versus Titans. Colts versus Titans. Look, I got the Colts. I got the Colts over the Titans. And it's because I trust Joe Flacco more than Will Levis. And the Colts are bringing back Jonathan Taylor from injury. So I like the Colts in this one. I think Shane Steichen is a phenomenal coach. And yes, the Titans have a good defense. That's why it's like kind of 50-50 split for real with this game. But I like Joe Flacco to go ahead and have some Flacco magic against the Titans. Give me the Colts. Texans versus Patriots. Texans, the Patriots offensive line is terrible. They're up against a rookie quarterback. You know, the Texans are. D'Amico Ryans, I believe his defense will eat Drake May alive. No Diddy. And so ultimately, I got the Texans winning that one. That's pretty easy. Buccaneers versus Saints. This is going to be another matchup of a rookie quarterback. Todd Bowles is 10-6 against rookie quarterbacks. He is. I think Spencer Rattler, I mean, look, when you have a beat-up offensive line with the rookie quarterback, that's not good. It's not good. If the Saints have any chance of winning, they have to lean on Alvin Kamara. But the Buccaneers are coming off a disappointing game where Bucky Irving fumbled the ball. They lost to the Falcons. I expect Chris Godwin, Mike Evans to get right behind Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers to win against the Saints. Give me the Buccaneers over the Saints. Eagles versus Browns. Obviously, y'all know I'm gonna do more of an analysis on this, but I got the Eagles. I believe that their offense is gonna start clicking again with AJ, Devontae, and Lane coming back. Those are huge, huge, huge pieces, and I expect the Eagles to, for the first time in like over a year, to have a blowout win. Please, dog. Please, dog. Washington versus the Ravens. I got the Ravens, but it's going to be a high scoring game. I think that the Commanders, they beat the Bengals, which is a great game for them. Uh, they also were able, what else some other games the Commanders had? They had a couple other games. They had a couple other games. I mean, like they beat the Giants. They beat what the Cardinals. The Cardinals aren't that good. They beat the Browns. The Browns aren't that good. So like their best to win is against the Bengals, who are 1-4. And I just believe it's a reason why the Ravens are that big of a favorite. I don't believe the Commanders' defense is like that. I think Lamar is gonna snap. He's gonna snap against them, and we're gonna see Derrick Henry get in there maybe two times, maybe two times. But ultimately, I got the Ravens, being the Commanders in a shootout. All right, boom. Chargers versus Packers versus Cardinals. Packers versus Cardinals. I got this. This was like a tough one. I was thinking about the biggest reason why I'm picking the Packers over the Cardinals is because I don't trust the Cardinals to string together back-to-back great weeks. They haven't done it all season. So why do I trust them to do it again on the road? Yes, they beat the 49ers, but they also beat the Rams and then laid a dud against the Commanders the following week. So I don't trust them to go ahead and put together back-to-back weeks. I think that, it's going to be a turnover game. I do believe that because Jordan Love has been a turnover guy. There's all this talk about Jalen Hurts being this turnover guy, but Jordan Love in less games has the same amount of interceptions as him this season. He's been terrible. But it's different agendas for like they're different guys. So I get it. I get it. Nonetheless, I got the Packers to go ahead and beat the Cardinals. It's more about me not trusting the Cardinals to string together back-to-back good games. Steelers versus Raiders. Steelers versus Raiders. I have the Steelers. I believe that Mike Tomlin is going to have this defense pumped, ready to play. They were embarrassed against a Cowboys team that was injured. I mean, they turned over the ball, the Cowboys did, and they still was able to win. So Mike Tomlin has a lot of ammunition to light a fire under his defense and be like, yo, we need to go ahead and bust their ass, bro. So I like the Steelers to go ahead and beat the Raiders, who are in disarray with this whole Devontae Adams situation. Chargers versus Broncos. The Broncos have a very good defense. They do. But at the end of the day, the Chargers have a very good defense too. They have a top 10 defense too. So I'm looking at this. Who do I trust more? Do I trust Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert? Or do I trust Sean Payton and Bo Nix? I'm trusting Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert. Yes, there are injuries on the offensive line with the Chargers, but there's injuries everywhere, bro. I think J.K. Dobbins, still goes off. He's averaging 6 yards per carry. He's been phenomenal this season. And again, I got the Chargers to go ahead and beat their rival. Lions versus Cowboys. I got the Lions to beat the Cowboys. Here's the thing. The Cowboys are at home. And it's funny, like in the past, it's always been like, oh, like the Cowboys, they're at home. They had that advantage. It's actually like the opposite now. They're worse at home and better on the road. Crazy world we live in. It's turning the tide. So ultimately, I think that the Lions get this done. Their offense is too prolific. Again, their offense is not like the Steelers. Like, two things can be true. You can give the Cowboys respect for beating the Steelers because regardless of how the Steelers offense looks, you were without Micah and Lawrence and you still got it done. The thing is, and you're up against a great defense with the Steelers. The thing is, This Steelers offense is nowhere near the Lions offense. David Montgomery, touchdown. Jahmyr Gibbs might have like 80 plus yards off the scrimmage. He's going to snap. So I expect the Lions to utilize their run game and have that open up the pass. And it might be a bomb or two to Amon Ra and Jamo. Falcons versus Panthers. I like the Panthers. I like the Panthers. That's just because, like, I don't trust the Falcons, dog. They be getting lucky. Dog. Talk about against the Eagles. If Saquon catches that ball, they go ahead, win that game. If against the Saints, they won on a last second field goal. Against the Buccaneers, if Bucky Irvin holds on to the damn ball, you're talking about the Buccaneers go ahead and win that game. So I just think like they're gonna run out of luck sooner rather than later, and this Panthers team can put up some points with Andy Dalton, and this Falcons pass rush is not great. Give me the Panthers to go ahead and pull off the upset. Bengals versus Giants. Give me the Bengals. It's the Giants, dog. It's the Giants. I mean, come on, Bengals. Bills versus Jets. I got the Jets. I don't like it at all. But I think it's because their defense is so elite. And they'll probably have a morale boost given the fact that they don't have like a coach no more. They don't have like Robert Saleh no more. So they'll have a boost. I think the Jets will go ahead and win that, but it's going to be interesting game. It's kind of hard for me to bet against Josh Allen. It is. But I think the Jets, it's a matter of like the Jets defense versus the Bills defense. The Bills defense has injuries all over. If the Jets want to have a get-right game offensively, it should be against the Bills, who have not looked very, very good these past 2 weeks. All right. I'm looking at these. I picked a lot of favorites. I did. Let me. All right, fine. I'm going to switch my pick because I wasn't very confident in it. I'm switching my pick. I am picking the Seahawks to upset the 49ers. I am, dog. I am. I got faith that at home, they'll go ahead and get it done, bro. At home, they'll get it done. So everything I said about Brock Purdy and them stands true. And I believe that they will still struggle to get in the end zone, in the red zone. So again, like, comment, subscribe. I've been talking for like 40 minutes. Leave a like, subscribe, all that jazz. I love y'all. Real Talk with MJ. We also have a special guest on Saturday, and that's going to be one of them ones. Y'all going to love it, man. I feel like y'all going to love it. And I'm going to just give y'all a little hint. Philly cheese, baby. Philly cheese. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Signing out. Real Talk. We out.